Hello, I'm Harvey, host of Franchising Brand Stories. And this is, and off you go, Sarah.
Hi, I'm Sarah Cressall, founder of the Creation Station, where we inspire imagination and nurture potential.
Fantastic. And Franchising Brand Stories is the show where we get under the hat of some of the top brands in the UK and in the world. And Franchising Brand Stories Season 5 is brought to you by FranRec, specialist staff and executive recruiters to the UK franchise industry. And what is this show about? This is all about getting to hear the stories behind some of these wonderful brands and really getting to know the people behind these wonderful brands. And if you are considering investing into a franchise, well, this is for you. This is a show for you because you can find out all about these wonderful brands and get to talk live. If you are here at between 5:15 and about 6 o'clock on the 9th of January 2025, you can ask a question live and we really welcome those questions. So, who are we going to hear the story of today? We are going to hear what's under the hat of the Creation Station with the wonderful Sarah Cressall OBE as well. Never haven't had an OBE on, so you'll have to correct me if I'm not addressing you correctly.
Yeah,
Welcome to Franchising Brand Stories, Sarah. It's a pleasure to have you with us.
it's lovely and in honor to you, Harvey, and your amazing show. I just had to
Oh, well, look at
nod my
that.
hat to you. I actually wore this
Excellent.
outfit today. It's really cold down in Devon, and it was sunny, so that was a real outfit today.
Well, that is a beautiful looking hat. My hat and your hat, I'm sure, would get on very well.
Absolutely.
Excellent, fantastic. What do? We always start the show with finding out a little bit about where you're at right now. So we're going to start with a question, which is, what is the Creation Station? And without going back too far in time, because without spoilers, that's what we're going to do in a little bit, but just give people an idea as to what the Creation Station is.
Thank you. And a massive hello to anyone watching live or on recorded. The Creation Station inspires imagination and nurtures potential. It's really simple. But we do that through the means of creative workshops, typically arts and crafts. But we're not an art club. What we do is we help people explore, discover, children and adults, explore, discover, and develop through the means of arts and crafts their amazing potential. And we're very fortunate to be able to do that from very young to very old with the most amazing franchise partners, I believe, on the planet. They're just that they really bring our core values to life. And I couldn't be prouder to collaborate and be part of the team with them.
Fantastic. That's a great description, and thank you so much for that. A wonderful business, and it's always great to inspire people to be creative. And using art and crafts is a lovely way of doing it. I enjoy a little bit of art myself. I probably shouldn't show you any of my art, but I love the creative part of it, and you can lose yourself in creating things, and I think can be very good for your mental health. Oh, my pen just flew away there. Where's it gone? It sprung off.
Well, there you go. You see, your pen you heard the word creative and it just sprung into action. And what's interesting, you just said you wouldn't want to show anyone your art. Same here, because we have this thing that, I'm not creative. But creative is a process. It's a way of thinking, problem solving, making connections, and their skill, I believe they are skills for life. And interestingly, in LinkedIn a few years ago, the top skill that they looked for in recruiters, in new staff, was creativity. Mm-hmm. And of course, school sometimes just puts people on a little sausage machine, but it doesn't unleash their potential. And that's really our mission, is to help unleash that amazing potential within each child, because we're all different. Why are we trying to get everyone the same? We should celebrate difference and support that, especially now more than ever.
Oh, I completely agree. I love that. I think education is all about discovering what children are passionate about and really inspiring and getting that thing working for them. Let's have a little idea to give people that are watching that don't know the business. We're trying to understand now where you're at today. So in terms of sort of number of franchisees and whereabouts in the country you can be found, let's start with how many wonderful franchisees do you have here in the UK?
Yeah, so we have privilege to work with 62 franchise partners.
Fantastic.
Our reach is Scotland down to Devon and across. And some people have more than one franchise, more territories. And we are in India and Canada. I was in India last month in December, met our Indian franchise partner there as well. She actually said, although you're a long way away, Sarah, I feel like I'm part of your family. And to me, that was real success, because that's what we want. It might sound a bit cliche to say family, but who you work with, you sometimes spend longer with than like your own family. And we're very lucky to select our franchise partners. In fact, it's only 2% of people who inquire we go on to award the franchise to. And I'll explain why later. But we're in it, it's a teamwork. I do my bit, they do their bit, and together we can make this difference. So our franchise partners are the heart and soul of our business. We couldn't be the number one, the most recommended activity provider in the UK without the hard work and passion and amazingness.
Fantastic. Well, talking of some of these lovely people, we've got some people here live. And before we get today into the main part of the story, I'd like to recognise a few people that we've got here live with us today as well. So we've got the wonderful Julie Waits, and she's put a good evening from a very cold northeast England. I bet it is. We have the lovely Katrina Newman here, and Katrina's put hello, Sarah and Harvey. Love the hat, Sarah. You see? Ooh, the hats, you see.
In case anyone missed it.
Fantastic. Excellent. We have Kat Trinder Chart. Hi, I have just bought my Creation Station franchise. Up in Yorkshire. Looking forward to getting started. Well, look, this is what it's all about: celebrating new franchisees and franchise success. And I'm so glad, Kat, that you've joined us here live today to share your experiences. Fantastic to have you here. Brilliant. Thank you very much for the comment. We have Emma as well here today. So glad to be part of the Creation Station. Love what we do. Oh, well, what a wonderful thing to say. And finally, we have Fran Long here. Hi, lovely people. Well, hi to you too. Now, before we get into the main part of today's show, if you have just joined us, this is Franchising Brand Stories. And today we are hearing what's under the hat of the Creation Station with the wonderful Sarah Cressall. If you have just joined us today, or if you're catching a snippet of this in the future, scan the QR code that's on the top left of your screen right now, and that will take you right back to the beginning of the episode, and you can watch it at your leisure. Please put a comment in even in the future, because we can still respond to those comments in the future if you've enjoyed watching the show. And thank you for everyone who's joined us here so far. So we are now going to get into the main part of the story today. And this is the time where I need to take you back in time, Sarah. So where did it all begin for the Creation Station? What was that spark that made you want to create such a wonderful business?
It's funny, isn't it? Because all of us have a life journey, and there are elements along it that we don't realize are fundamental to our future success. And there's a couple for me. I was fortunate I did some work in Zimbabwe. I did a degree in nutrition because people always had to eat. I really wanted to do creativity, but I ended up doing a degree in nutrition, and I thought I'd help solve the famine. That was the idea. When you're young, you can do anything. And so I went to Zimbabwe on Operation Rally. I hurt my leg. I was on crutches, so I did a lot of artwork. I did murals and different things. And in fact, to fundraise for this trip, I did a mural at Charing Cross Station.
Oh,
And when
wow.
other people were doing like raffles and things, I took a loan out for 500 quid. I had to raise 2,500. And at the tender age of 22, I thought, I know, I'll take out a loan. And I got the T-shirt design printed of the mural I'd done at Charing Cross Station. And I bought loads of these T-shirts. And I stood in front of Charing Cross Station and sold all these T-shirts, obviously chatting to people. I had a stand on Camden Market. And I basically sold loads of artwork to get on Operation Rally. So I went to Zimbabwe, did my knee-in, and I was kind of making stuff, making signs and doing murals while I was there. And the chief of the local village said to me, would you help the local women run their own arts and crafts cooperative? And I remember that feeling of, I would love to do that. Imagine helping people, unleash their potential and run their own business. But at the time, I had a job in London as a catering manager, and they had given me a sabbatical. So what I decided to do, I turned down that lovely offer because I didn't think I was skilled enough. I went back to London, resigned, contracted back to them for like 2 days for the same amount as my full-time job. And then I started developing my own creative skills. I made stuff, I sold more stuff. I got a job as a picture framer, and I really developed my own creative skills. I did a arts management diploma. I did an arts foundation course. I was like, I'd found something that I was really excited about. And I started doing workshops for people with head injuries, with headway. Well, I started having groups with them because I did some volunteer work with them. And I just started getting out some arts and crafts stuff. And I noticed the difference that these people, they were just really connected. They were laughing their socks off. The energy was so different when I got all of the stuff out. And it wasn't about teaching. It was about enabling, encouraging, maybe giving a few tips here and there. But it was really about them doing their thing. Everyone would do something different. And then I got a job teaching art and randomly photography. And he said, can you do photography as well? I was like, yeah. It was like the whole dark room thing. I'd never done that before, but I got the yellow pages. I found somebody who knew how to do it. I found some cheap equipment in a local scrap yard or something. And I started running photography workshops and all of the art workshops in a disabled young adult centre. And because I could frame, because of my picture framing, I would frame their artwork and would have a gallery of their artwork. And there's one chap, Barry, who we used to take him out, and he didn't have much movement, but he could move his head. And we put a button on the back of his wheelchair so he could take photographs. And he loved bins and graveyards. And we'd print them all, we'd frame them. And I contacted the local council and I said, you need to see Barry's work. This is all it was all obviously a local council property. So he got his work exhibited in the council corridors for a couple of years.
Oh,
and
wow.
so that, I just was really enjoying that. Lucky enough to become a mum to 3 boys, and I was in a wheelchair for 2 years because I had some leg problems. And I went to a lot of these classes, the kids' classes, because I was obviously in a wheelchair. And a friend of mine said, there's loads of gym, music and dance. There's nothing really creative, and in the sense of that hands-on creativity. And again, that was another sort of sliding door moment for me. Like, oh my God, that could bring my creativity, my business, my passion to support other people. And that's how the spark started in a nutshell.
Well, thank you so much. What a fantastic story. I mean, we've heard some amazing stories on this show, but that has to be one of my favorites. I was going to ask you why and what the OBE came from, but I think I can guess by those amazing stories and what you've just told us. So what a fantastic journey to start something. That you've got one of these franchise businesses that is sort of threefold. It's helping the end users be creative and helping that process. It's helping your the employees of your franchisees and they're enjoying their lives and their jobs, and it's helping your franchisees. So it's one of these ones that has sort of 3 or 4 tiers of really helping and supporting a full community. And I love it. Fantastic.
Thank you.
Let's have a little look at another one here. You began there to the fact that you suddenly saw something that you could have franchising and you could have your business that was creating things. But why do you think that franchising in particular was the model of growth that you selected, rather than sort of organic growth and, I don't know, hiring more people to do this wonderful work?
Yeah, really good question. And I think because as a mum, I had 3 kids and I launched my own creation station, I recognized the value I was getting from it. You know, the flexibility around the kids, wanting to make a difference, being able to scale your business when you needed to save up for something and pull it back when your own personal or, you know, family needs invariably needed a bit more flexibility. And I remember somebody approaching me and saying, I'd like to run it. And in fact, I ran my first classes in the office, which is here down in Exmouth in Devon. We don't generally run stuff in people's houses anymore, occasionally, but maybe for the adults. But I remember people asking me, I was like, thank you very much, but I'm not ready. No, and I just felt what the benefit I was getting from it. And I was learning as well. I wasn't particularly confident. My confidence has grown. You know, there's been so many benefits for the whole team, but what I thought I'd benefited from, other people could. And also there was a massive opportunity to make a difference on a bigger scale. And one of the things I am very proud of, quite a lot of what the team together have done. But one of the things I'm particularly proud of, my husband said to me, I'm proud that I listened to him, to be honest. My husband said to me, you should really do your core values. This was in 2002. And because he'd worked in, like, he was very, very clever and he knew stuff like that and I didn't. So we wrote the core values, 6 core values, and they're still the same core values. And the business has to obviously make money. Everyone has to make money, but I'd much rather make an impact with the driver. Like many successful brands, they want to make a difference first. And it felt it would make a difference to more people. If the person delivering it was getting the value, they could share that value. And then we could all, you know, collaborate and work together and learn from each other. I still learn so much from our franchise partners. And having a different perspective, it's that they're often at the front line. And so they see stuff that I don't. They've got ideas. And ideas are the currency of success and growth. You have to innovate. And we get so many ideas from people running their own business. You know, they're driven, they're passion, and they're pretty amazing people. So that's why franchising, I believe, has been such a transformative vehicle for us to be able to. We've inspired 2.2 million people, and kids and adults. And
amazing. I mean, you know, you say that number fairly lightly, but 2.2 million people that you've touched the lives of in some way and helped with that creation and that creativity and that positivity. That's amazing. That's an incredible number. You know, as I say, you say it so casually, but it's such an amazing feat that yourself and your franchisees and all of those wonderful people together have created such a fantastic thing. I love what you said there as well. Ideas are the currency of growth. We've written that one down. I write a lot of things down from these things. You said earlier there that you learn from your franchisees. Well, I learn from doing these things all the time. You know, it's wonderful to listen and to hear these stories. As I'm sure it will be if you are a potential franchisee listening to this and trying to understand what this business is about, what it's going to be like. We're going to come to a question that we've got coming here live, which I think is a good one for this part of the show. This is a question from Simon. And Simon's put, what skills and experience do you look for in new franchisees? Do you need to be artistic and creative, you know, an art teacher or an artist? What sort of skills or experience or people are you looking for?
Yeah, and Kat's a really good example here. 3 things we look for. You have to be aligned, well, probably 4. You have to be aligned to our values. You know, that's non-negotiable.
Perhaps it would be a good time to go through what those core values are as well, because I think when we're talking about this, about type of people you want to attract, and if you're a particular person you're thinking, am I going to match in, it's probably a good time to talk about those core values.
Cool. So let's just rattle them off like I know them. I mean, I honestly do, because they're part of our customer care program. But basically, it's inspire imagination, nurture potential, give care, have fun, and spark curiosity. And there's one more. But in essence, that's what it is. And
Fantastic.
It is about, it's nurturing the wonder within, whether it's a mum and a baby, preschooler, child in a teenager, and a parent at an adult workshop, or whether it's Mabel, who's 103 in a care home, who is our oldest customer. She used to drive a tank.
Wow, 103.
I know. And one of our franchisees obviously ran that workshop. So aligned to our values, because it's a common purpose, it's a driving force. It's hard work running a business. Even a franchise, you have to put the work in or the franchise won't work. You know, you've got to drive it. So it needs to matter to you. That's what we find our successful franchise partners have, that aligned passion. You need to be proactive. You have to get out there, implement the systems, and work at your business. Enjoy it. You know, but you've got to make it happen. You can't just say my shop doors are open. You know, metaphorically, I'm open for business now. Where are all my customers? You know, you have to implement the marketing plans that we have. You can tweak everything, but you've got to make it work. Correct. You have to be a people person. I think life's all about people. Business is also all about people. And our successful franchise partners get on with people. They can hold a conversation. They're friendly. And they don't have to be, you know, all out there. They can be themselves, but they need to like connecting with people. If you want to hide behind a screen all the time, this isn't the business for you. And I believe you just have to be keen to be part of our team. You know, there are so many opportunities to help drive our business, and we love it when people are, you know, part of our growth. You know, we talk about a team and a family, and that's very important. And you don't have to be artistic. You don't have to be a parent. And sometimes when people are very artistic, we have some artists in our business who are amazing, and they help with all of some of the art templates and designs. We don't do colouring in, but some of the templates for some of the session plans, we use lots of ideas. And sometimes if people are wanting to run an art class, this isn't an art class. There are other franchises that do art specifically. Art is nurturing potential through a creative process. So they will make amazing pieces at the end. But if they don't, it doesn't matter, because it's the process.
Yes.
Process where the growth really happens.
I completely get that. As someone who loves art and loves creation of things, I completely get that it's the process of doing that. Even if it's building some Lego, and I say with the kids, but I also still enjoy building Lego. But even if it's doing that, it's kind of, building it that's the fun bit. When it's sort of built and it's sitting there, it's not as much fun as that process of building it and imagining what it's going to be like, and it's it coming to be. Yeah, I love that. I love the fact also you spoke there about hard work, and I always think it's important as an industry, as the franchise industry, for people to understand. So if you're a potential business partner listening and you're thinking about various different options and you're thinking about franchising as one of those options, it's very important to realize that you do need to work hard. You're given, I always take it back as if you're a carpenter or a builder and you're given a box of tools, and you might have a hammer and a saw in there, and they might be the best tools for a particular job, but they're not going to hammer any nails in unless you pick them up and hammer those nails in. And if you hold the wrong end, they're not going to work very well. And it's the same principle with franchising. You are given the right tools to do a job, but you've still got to use them and use them correctly and use them well. And it's really important to understand hard work.
Yeah, no, I like that analogy. True.
You can have that one. I also love, and we'll move on to another question, but I think you answer things so concisely and beautifully, and I liked what you said there about being curious. Someone once said to me to stay curious, and I thought that was such a wonderful piece of advice. If you ask that second question, genuinely interested in other people, I think it serves you well. I mean, it serves you well obviously at the creation station, but it serves you well in life, I think, to stay curious.
Well, you're obviously in the right job, Harvey. You're asking questions. You're helping people talk, and going back to being curious. Children have so many amazing skills that we squeeze out of them and tell them how to do something properly. And they are curious. They will, as any parent will know, why. And my three, I had 3 under 3.5, and they were all different, obviously. And all the classes I would go to, I remember going to like a music class, and Sam was like exploring the drawers of the woman's house. It was a nightmare. And my middle one, Ollie, was very quiet and just being a bit more attentive. And Josh was a baby and just like crawling around. And I just remember feeling so stressed that everyone else's little daughter invariably was beautiful. Everyone else's child was really well behaved, and none of mine were. And I actually walked away, feeling worse than I had when I'd gone. And very mindful in our workshops that we look after people and we help people support their child where they're at. Sometimes in our classes we've had like little ones just use the painter's hand cream. Brilliant. It's great, because we don't mind that they haven't made a perfect picture, and invariably the perfect pictures are when the parents have taken over. So we'll often give the parent their own piece of paper, but we used to get, and part of that curiosity and listening and asking the question and not waiting for your turn to speak, properly listening, and you notice that with people. That is one of the reasons why we've got 12 income streams. Because I remember parents used to say to me, Sarah, we love doing this, but can we do it without the kids? And maybe with some Prosecco or gin and tonic. And of course, we gave it a go, and it's grown really well. It's a really significant part of our franchisees' business.
Sure it is.
Yeah. But even with all those income streams, we're not reinventing the wheel for each one. We have a process for all of our programs, which is inspire them with something that makes them curious and think. Have a range of different activities, different tools, things that people can get excited about, maybe they've never seen before. And at the end, really celebrate each person's what they've done. And that works for the mum and babies, the toddlers, education, evening care homes. It's that we've kept the structure. It's based on a lot of expert advice and a lot of reworking and working. It's underpinned by Emilia Reggio's 100 Languages of Children and a lot of other elements. But fundamentally, it's about making somebody feel better at the end than they did at the beginning.
Oh, I love that. I love that. It reminded me as well. My wife, when one of her little boys was very young, learned the expression "What's that?" and used to point at things and say, "What's that?" And it just reminds me of that stay curious, that wanting to know what something is, and wanting to understand somebody else is a treasure, I think. Let's quickly recognise another person who's with us, and we've got a great question that's coming up again from Simon, so we're going to put that one up in a minute. We have the lovely Don Cohen here. And Don is the origin story of my hat. So please check Don out. Great to have you here from the good old US of A. Great to be here enjoying learning with Sarah and Harvey. Well, it's great to have you here, Don, and a lovely chap you are. And we've got a great question coming up here from Simon. We've got this question is what does a typical day in the life for a franchisee look like? I think I want to come to that in a moment, if that's okay, because what I'd like to do is to find out, before we get to what that day is like for someone, I think it would be great if you're a potential franchisee listening today to understand first of all what that prospect journey is going to look like. So from the point you sort of pick up the phone, inquire about becoming a franchisee, to the point that you start running your franchise, what does that look like? And then we're going to come on to your lovely question, Simon.
Yeah, thank you. So it is very much in the control of the person ringing. So somebody reach out. Typically they will find us. They might stumble on us on social media or at an event. We've got an event company, so they might see us at a festival or a shopping centre. Lots of different ways. So they'll fill out a form to download the information pack, and we'll give them a call. We'll send them a text. We'll give them a call in the next few days, and ask them what is it that they're looking for, and have a chat. And then we invite them to a online discovery event, which is typically an hour. We've got one tonight after this one, and they'll get to meet some of our other franchisees, and our franchise partners will talk about what the business is like. And why I like doing that is because it's live. There's lots of Q&A, questions and answers. So if somebody's watching it or in part of it, they might learn from other questions as well that they hadn't thought of. At that point, they can then decide whether or not, obviously, it's for them. But if they want to find out more on an individual basis, they then have a one-to-one with us. So we book an hour with them, and we look at where they're at, what time they've got available, and how much money they want to earn. And then we have a spreadsheet. It's called Know Your Numbers. So we'll analyze the numbers. We are a lovely business, and we're all about passion and making a difference. But we also want to make a profit. We want to make sure our franchisees make a profit. So we'll start with Know Your Numbers, because if they're looking at $6,000 a month profit, that's not going to happen in the first year. So what would they live on? So we do an analysis and we look at the numbers to help them get closer to making a decision. As I said, it's only 2% of people who inquire. The hardest part sometimes is telling somebody that they're not right for us.
Of course.
People have tried again, said, can I reapply? But we generally find the right people. So they have a one-to-one. If they want to find out more, after that, we'll send them, they can speak to any of our franchisees. They can speak to me. They can speak to any of the head office team. Then we ask them for a deposit, £79. We give them the franchise contract, and we recommend that they get it checked by a franchise solicitor so they fully understand it. We're part of the BFA, so we make sure that they've got the terms and conditions of how we operate as a company, and then they can, once that's all, they're happy with all of that, they can ask us any questions. We have a lady called Louise who looks after that journey. They can book in a call with her at any time, get questions answered, and when they're ready, they then can sign and pay the balance, and they then join the training, which is about 2.5 months.
Oh wow!
Yeah, people are earning during that time. It's kind of an onboarding and launch. because ultimately, but I'll talk about that next maybe, because
Yeah.
talk a long time about creation station.
No, I love that, and that really gives people a good understanding. I think if you're thinking about inquiring, it gives you an understanding of what that journey is going to look like. You've obviously got plenty of franchisee validation, plenty of support. I mean, we've seen your wonderful franchisees here during the show, and of course, at that point where you're paying a deposit, very small deposit, right? A very small contribution there as a deposit. So I like sort of that journey and how you're committing along that journey. It's very supportive for a potential franchisee to make sure that they're not getting into something that's not right for them or not right for you. So I really like that. Thanks so much for sharing that. We're going to now go to Simon's question. Before we do, if you have just joined us, this is Franchising Brand Stories, and today we are hearing what's under the hat of the Creation Station with the lovely Sarah Cressall. And Franchising Brand Stories is brought to you by FranRec, the specialist staff and executive recruiters for the UK franchise industry. So let's have a look. While we're talking about Simon Wise, let's have a look at his comment. Now we're going to go on to this, because I think this really fits in now with this sort of stage of the journey. So you've gone through the prospect journey there. You feel it's the right business for you. You feel that it's the right person for the business, and things are ready to go. What does that sort of day look like? Let's say you've gone through that training period, and now you're ready to sort of start. What does a day in the life of a franchisee look like?
Brilliant. So part of that training, 2.5 months, and that's an ongoing hand holding while they launch. And I'm stuck about this, that they don't have to wait. They've got instant access to an individual support manager. And our franchisees all run their businesses slightly different, because we're all different, and it's not a cookie cutter for everybody. So going back to that know your numbers, which is your personal business plan, I mentioned about two things: time and money. So if taking your kids to school if you've got that age child, is important to you, that's what you'll do first thing in the morning. If you haven't got kids, you might be running pre-morning school clubs. It's up to you. But typically, all of our franchisees do run after-school clubs, so you have to be mindful that if you've got kids, that making sure people often start in their own child's school, and then maybe run 2 back to back, and then grow with staff. But we definitely start with after-school clubs. During the day, people could be running mum and baby workshops, or going into a care home, running a corporate wellbeing event. Also looking at we often do work in nurseries, but not as much, as it's not our core business. Our core business is really the schools, the education, the mum and first year. That's a huge market for us. Also retired groups, so different workshops during the day. Sometimes people will take a Wednesday off and focus on either time for themselves. That's so important, that's built in, because you get excited about your business and you work all the time, and then you can get a bit burnt out. So you've got to put in your own joy, your own separate joy from your business, which is often spending time either doing some healthy stuff, meeting friends, just getting everything sorted for the house. If you're not doing it all maybe on the weekends, because you're in control of that business. We do lots of birthday parties, adult parties, hen parties as well. They're generally in the pub in the evening. And so people tailor that. You only have to do the work if you want to.
Yeah.
So if you never want to work on a Sunday, you make sure your party prices are a bit more, you just don't put them in the diary. Or if you want to move people to a Saturday, you make sure that your Sunday prices are really expensive. So we help franchisees tailor their business to their own personal goals.
I think that's great. I really like the expression "book in some joy" as well. I've written that one down, because I think it's really important. People think about scheduling their diaries for things they've got to do for their work and for all of these different things, or I've got to do this chore, or I've got to do this. But I think people aren't as good generally at booking in time to do things that are important for them. So it's great that as a company and as a person, you encourage people to do that. I love it. I love that very, very much. So let's move on. This is a part of the story that I always like, and I know that you're gonna have some stories here. So I'd like to move on now, because again, we spoke about the fact that you probably change lives in all sorts of different ways. You know, you've got the service users, you've got the people that are employed by the franchisees, you've got your wonderful franchisees, and you've got yourself and your head office team. And I'm sure lots of lives have been changed. But can you think of a few great stories in amongst all of those 2.2 million people that you'd like to share with us?
Yeah, how long have we got? So I can't believe this is the time. Where do these chats go? Goodness me. Yes, I'm going to talk from personal experience, but I know our franchisees have got their own stories because they are so personal. I might include a couple from our franchisees, but I remember running a workshop after school club for a little girl, I wouldn't say her name, and she was amazing. Oh my goodness, she just was full of energy. She was like, whoa, just a bit like me when I got excited about the business. She was just amazing in these workshops, after school clubs. And I remember one day either a mum picked her up or a dad, and then one day they both came and they said, Sarah, can we just have a word? You can get told off, don't you, when somebody says that? I do. Don't know why. I think it's a childhood thing. I've got to always do
that as well.
Yeah, got to always do my best just in case. So anyway, they said, we just wanted to say to you, Sarah, in all of the other classes, she gets told off. Yet in this class, all you have to say about her is wonderful things. And she loves coming here. And we just wanted to say thank you, because it gives her so much energy, and she likes coming to school on a Tuesday because of your club. And although it was a lovely story, it was also incredibly sad because this girl was amazing. And there's that I won't remember his name, but there's that story of there was a child messing about, a famous, anyway, ignore that. There is a story, I might mention it, but we all have different skills, and if they're not allowed to be realized, kids aren't going to enjoy school. They're not going to do very well. We have to meet children and allow them for their own skills to come out, because we need loads of different skills in life to manage this country in the future, and so we shouldn't be like tapping them down.
No, I completely agree, and what a beautiful story as well, because it's so important that when you're going to school that you've got some positivity. And negativity, sometimes if you're always getting told off as a child, it sort of almost breeds more negativity. And whereas positivity and finding that passion and that creativity, that breeds positivity. You know, if you surround yourself by that, then suddenly you're feeling excited about coming in, you're feeling positive about it, things start going better, that makes you feel even more positive. And if everyone, and there's some amazing, wonderful teachers out of there, and everybody remembers a good teacher, and that's what a good teacher does, recognizes those talents, those passions, and finds a way to bring those out. And that's clearly what you did. Lovely story. Love that.
Yeah, lots. And from a franchisee's point of view, I remember one franchise partner who is still with us, actually, who was amazing. She had a personal separation. Finances were difficult, obviously, but she so valued what she did, she decided to scale her business because she had some children to look after and she didn't want to lose what she had. So she scaled her business and ultimately doubled her income within about 8 months and is doing really well.
Wow. Amazing, amazing.
And
What a what a turnaround as well.
hey,
Yeah, absolutely. And it's lovely again if you're a potential franchisee listening to this, being able to turn your life around. And I say that not everybody who gets into franchising wants to get in because they need a huge positive boost, but being able to turn your life around and being able to use franchising and the good franchise companies and the support that's offered by other franchisees and the franchisors are what's great about franchising. One of the many things, but that's certainly what's great about franchising. Because if anybody out there listening has ever started their own business, run their own business, it can be a lonely thing to do that. And I don't mean lonely because you're not surrounded by people, but lonely up here. And a good franchise business can really, I think we've got a responsibility as franchisors to make sure that people are well supported. And I think that's why franchising has such a terrific success rate compared with running a business. Because not only do you get those tools, but you get that support from from franchisees and from the franchisor as well.
absolutely, absolutely. Because, well, look, as I mentioned, we've got these 12 income streams. So we've got people who've been with us over 10 years, but they may not have done one of these income streams, for instance. And then, so they'll say, "Oh, I'm launching." We've got WhatsApp groups, Facebook group. We have a fortnightly newsletter. We have regional meetups. We have monthly hubs on different things. We have masterclasses. We basically, if someone asks for stuff, we know, great, we can help. So we have an awful lot of collaboration in our business. And even somebody who's been with us for a long time might go, "Oh, but I don't know how to do this." So somebody who's just done the training and is really focused on one area, they will help. So rather than just feeling as a new person, I'm getting all the help, they will contribute to somebody who's been here for a long time, which also builds their confidence as well. And of course, the backgrounds are all different from, like, we've got accountants, we've got teachers who are amazing, we've got retail managers, we've got stay-at-home mums, we've got a really nice dad as well, and it's that collectiveness that means you don't have to know everything. You've got other people who can fill the gaps, and there's no way you can know everything these days. And I think it's by other people's perspectives that you grow. And I love that about franchising. Although I've got big imagination, I never expected to work with such an incredible team. Actually, it's teamwork what we have at Creation Station.
Definitely. I'm going to quickly recognise a couple of other people that are here with us live before we move on to the final part of the show where we're going to talk about what's happening in the future. We've got the lovely Paul Lewis from Pitman, and I had a lovely chat with Paul today. So great to have you here with us, Paul. And we've got Ollie Cressall here.
Hello.
Today. And Ollie's put, and I like this, that reminds me of the Einstein quote: "If you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will spend its whole life thinking it's stupid." And what a great way to finish, because it's about finding what that creativity is, and it's unique to everyone. Making sure it's right, and then really making that shine. So thanks so much, Ollie, for that. And let's now move on to chapter 3. If you have just joined us, this is Franchising Brand Stories, and today we are hearing what's under the hat of Creation Station with the lovely Sarah Cressall. If you have just joined us, please scan the QR code quickly, because it's going to change in a minute, and you can catch the replay of today's episode. And now we are getting to the point where we're going to be looking for the Franchising Brand Stories exclusive now. So this is all about what's happening in the future for the Creation Station. So tell us, what exciting things have you got coming up in the coming weeks or months?
Well, you'd be pleased to know, as a creative business, we always have loads of stuff. Consistent improvements is just part of what we do. So I don't know how much I can tell you, but I can tell you I'll just see when I stop talking. So I'm just finishing my second book, which is the Career Change Guide. It is a 6-step create process to achieve the life you love. So I'm getting up very early, staying up quite late, almost finished that. And I've got the most, to be honest, the best part of the book, I think, are the stories. Just like you do. The stories are the magic of this book. So very excited about that because I've changed career a lot. And you don't always know where to look. So these are stories from what people have done themselves, and this 6-step create process that I've developed based on my own experiences just breaks it down one bit at a time. So that's coming out. I've got I can send you the link if people want to get an early bird.
You what? Absolutely. If you put the link in the comments, after, you can do it after the show, people then can go to the comments and find the link to that. The other thing that I'm going to say now as well is there is a QR code on the screen right now that says Creation Station. It would have said the Creation Station, but that didn't fit in. So, but that is going to take you to the franchising section of the Creation Station's website. So please scan that one. If you would like to find out more, reach out to Sarah. And we have now come to the end of today's episode. So before we get into what's happening next week, I would love to say a big thank you to Sarah for sharing what has been a wonderful story. Thank you so much for your time, Sarah.
Thank you.
And I also, no, you're very welcome. I'd also like to say, excellent. I don't quite take mine off. Never take it off. And I'd also like to say thank you to everyone who's been with us live today and everyone who catches this in the future. You are what makes these shows so special. It's our wonderful community. So thank you so much for that. Now, next week on our sister show, on the Franchise Show, we are going to be talking how to win at franchising with the wonderful Monty Clark and Brittany Satterfield. So we're going to be talking about all sorts of different ways we can win in franchising. That will be next Tuesday at 5:15 GMT, 12:15 EST, and on Franchising Brand Stories next week, we are going to be talking to Helen Venables and Emma Higgins of House of Colour. So I'm going to have to watch what I wear for that one. Make sure my colours are all good. And that will be next Thursday, 5:15 GMT, 12:15 EST for that. So please join us for those. Thank you once again. And until next time, take very good care. Cheerio.